Naomi did not move toward the laptop yet. She stood inside the heat of the stage lights and remembered the first signature that had started all of this. 3 weeks earlier, after midnight, the front lobby had been quiet except for the hum of the vending machine and the soft squeak of Mrs. Evelyn Carter's shoes on the marble floor. Evelyn came from the service hallway still wearing yellow cleaning gloves, her gray curls tucked under a hairnet, her eyes fixed on a folded pay stub like it had betrayed her. "Miss Naomi," she whispered, "can you read this for me one more time?" Naomi took the paper across the counter. Evelyn had worked 14 extra hours during the convention weekend. The overtime line showed 0. "They said it will come next cycle," Naomi said carefully. Evelyn shook her head. "They said that last cycle. And the one before that." Her hand opened, and inside her palm was a pharmacy receipt for blood pressure medicine. The total circled in blue ink was more than Evelyn had left after rent. Naomi glanced toward the security camera above the lobby plant. She knew the rule. Reception staff were not supposed to advise workers about payroll. They were supposed to smile, transfer calls, and keep the front desk pretty. But Evelyn was standing there with one shoe split at the side, trying not to cry in a hotel that had just charged a guest $600 for one night. Naomi slid the pay stub closer. "Do you have your clock-in texts?" Evelyn blinked. "My supervisor sends them every Sunday. Forward them to me." Evelyn pulled back. "Baby, I don't want you in trouble." Naomi gave a small smile that did not reach her eyes. "Then don't say my name." For the next 40 minutes, Naomi worked between guest calls, late check-ins, and Evelyn's shaking phone. She wrote the dates on hotel stationery, matched them to the schedule board, and circled every missing hour. The numbers grew ugly. 2 hours became 6. 6 became 14. By the time Naomi finished, Evelyn was gripping the edge of the counter. "That is my light bill," she said. "That is my groceries." Naomi knew she should stop there. She knew her younger brother, Caleb, had a welding program deposit due Friday. She knew her rent grace period ended in 4 days. But when Evelyn whispered, "Maybe I should just let it go," Naomi heard her own mother's voice from years ago, tired from double shifts, saying some people count on the poor being too exhausted to fight. Naomi opened a blank email to HR and typed slowly so Evelyn could see every word. Formal payroll review request. Missing overtime. Employee attached records. She did not accuse. She did not threaten. She documented. Then she printed 2 copies, one for Evelyn and one for herself. Evelyn touched the warm paper like it was something alive. "You sure?" Naomi looked at the lobby doors, at the empty gold luggage carts, at the framed company slogan above the elevators. "We rise by lifting others." "No," she said, "but it's right." The punishment came quietly the next morning. Her schedule changed before breakfast. For shifts disappeared from the app. Her weekend premium vanished. Denise Hall sent one sentence. Operational adjustments. Marcus passed the front desk without greeting her for the first time in 2 years. At lunch, Naomi opened her banking app behind the coat closet door and stared at the balance. Caleb's deposit would bounce. Her phone buzzed with a text from him. "You still good for Friday?" Naomi typed yes, erased it, typed working on it, and locked the screen. That evening, Evelyn found her near the employee lockers. "They told me I was confused," she said. "They said I signed a correction form." Naomi's fingers went cold. "Did you?" "No," Evelyn looked around, lowering her voice. "But they showed me one." Naomi walked back to the front desk after everyone left and checked the printer tray where managers often forgot their drafts. Beneath a catering invoice, she found a payroll memo with no signature, only a line highlighted in yellow. "Delay payout until after Gala." Naomi stared at it for 5 seconds, then scanned it onto the little blue USB on her keychain. The sparrow charm swung once against the counter, bright under the lobby light, as if warning her the fight had just become bigger than one woman's missing overtime. The memo was not enough to accuse anyone, but it was enough to change the shape of Naomi's silence. After that night, she began noticing the things a front desk worker was trained to notice without being praised for it. Which executives avoided the lobby when housekeepers were present, which managers lowered their voices near the payroll office, which envelopes Denise carried under her arm only after the night shift clocked out. 2 days after she scanned the memo, a man in a charcoal overcoat checked in under the name Julian Reed. He had no entourage, no loud watch, no assistant pulling his suitcase. He stood patiently behind a family arguing about a room upgrade and did not interrupt once. When he reached the counter, he placed his ID down with 2 fingers and said, "Take your time." Naomi looked up, surprised by the ordinary kindness of it. Most guests say that when they mean the opposite. His mouth moved like he almost smiled. "Then I'll try to mean it." His reservation was for the penthouse floor, billed through a corporate account Naomi had never seen before. The company field simply read, Eastbridge Review Group. When she handed him the key cards, a call came in from housekeeping. Naomi answered quietly, but Julian did not walk away. "Front desk, this is Naomi." She listened, her eyes shifting toward the service hall. "No, Miss Evelyn, don't sign anything you don't understand. Ask for a copy first." She lowered her voice. "A copy, with the date." Across the counter, Julian's gaze sharpened, not with nosiness, but recognition. Naomi hung up and found him still there. "Is there a problem with your room?" "No," he said, "but there may be a problem with your company." Naomi's hand stilled over the keyboard. "I don't discuss internal matters with guests." "Good," Julian said. "That means you understand risk." He slid a business card halfway across the counter. It did not say investor. It did not say lawyer. It only said J. Reed, Compliance Advisory. If someone is asking employees to sign payroll corrections without copies, they are not correcting payroll. They are building a defense. Naomi did not touch the card. And why would a penthouse guest care about housekeepers? Julian looked toward the lobby mural where smiling staff members were painted like part of the hotel's furniture. Because some companies look generous from the ballroom and rotten from the basement. Before Naomi could answer, Marcus Vale entered through the revolving doors with 2 board members and a woman from the mayor's office. His voice filled the lobby before his shoes crossed the marble. "We are ready for the gala. This year, the story is employee loyalty." Julian turned slightly away, becoming just another guest reading a brochure. Marcus spotted Naomi and his smile thinned. "Naomi, make sure our VIP guest list stays clean. No unnecessary conversations." His eyes flicked once toward Julian's back. "We cannot have staff spreading confusion during award season." The words sounded harmless. The warning did not. Naomi nodded, feeling the USB against her hip inside her blazer pocket. Later that afternoon, she found Julian in the business center, not using the computers, only standing beside the shred bin with his phone in his hand. "You followed me?" Naomi asked. "No," he said. "I followed the paper." He pointed through the glass wall. Denise had just left the payroll office carrying a white banker's box with a red inventory tag. Naomi read the label before Denise turned the corner. Q4 overtime adjustments. Julian did not move to stop her. That bothered Naomi more than if he had done nothing because he did not care. "You saw that," she said. "I did. Then do something." He looked at her then, and the calm left his face for the first time. "If I move too early, they call it a clerical mistake, replace one manager and bury the rest. If you move with copies that can be authenticated, they have to answer for the pattern." Naomi hated how reasonable that sounded. She hated that the truth needed patience while people needed groceries now. "So everyone keeps suffering until the evidence looks pretty enough?" Julian's jaw tightened. "No. Everyone keeps suffering until the evidence cannot be killed." That evening, Naomi checked the employee printer again. Nothing. Then she noticed the service hallway camera above the stairwell had been turned slightly toward the wall. Not broken. Turned. On the floor beneath it sat a small crescent of red paper, torn from the same inventory tag Denise had carried. Naomi picked it up and slid it into her phone case. Could mean Denise was hiding records. Could mean nothing. But when Naomi looked up, she saw Marcus watching from the mezzanine. One hand on the railing, smiling like a man admiring his own building. Naomi did not see Marcus again until the next morning, when the employee elevator opened onto the 22nd floor and released her into a world that did not smell like lobby coffee or floor polish. The executive level smelled like cedar, leather, and money kept quiet. The carpet was thick enough to swallow footsteps. Glass walls looked down over downtown Atlanta, where buses moved like toys and the hotel loading dock sat hidden in shadow. Naomi held a tray of Gala folders against her chest, not because she was afraid to drop them, but because Denise Hall was walking beside her with the smooth patience of someone escorting a problem into a room. "Leadership wants you helping backstage tonight," Denise said. "Registration, VIP seating, award cue cards, emergency changes. You know names better than anyone." Naomi glanced at her. "I thought I was too confused to understand payroll." Denise's smile did not break. "You are excellent with faces. Stay excellent there." They entered a conference room where Marcus Vale sat at the head of a black walnut table, surrounded by people whose suits cost more than Naomi's monthly rent. A silver tray of untouched pastries sat beside bottled water arranged by brand and temperature. On the wall, a screen showed the gala run of show. Welcome remarks, employee tribute video, people first award, donor recognition, closing toast. Naomi noticed one new line in red near the bottom. Corrective personnel announcement if needed. Marcus looked up as if he had been waiting for her to read it. "Naomi," he said warmly, "you are one of our most visible employees. That matters tonight." One board member, a black woman with silver locks and sharp eyes, studied Naomi over her glasses. "This is the receptionist?" Marcus laughed lightly. "One of our quiet stars." Naomi placed the folders on the side table, not at his feet where Denise pointed. "Where would you like the updated seating chart?" The board woman's eyes flickered with approval. Marcus's jaw tightened for half a second. "With Denise." Denise handed Naomi a tablet loaded with the Gala app first test. Councilwoman Price's table changed. "The donor from Eastbridge wants privacy. 2 hotel employees are being moved away from press cameras. Fix the seating before lunch." Naomi looked at the tablet. It was not a request. It was a maze. If she failed, they could call her unprepared. If she succeeded, they could use her work and erase her name. She took the tablet anyway. "I'll need the latest RSVP list, not yesterday's." Denise blinked. "Use what you have." "Then I can't guarantee accuracy." The room went still in that soft executive way. No shouting, only temperature dropping. Marcus leaned back. "Give her the file." For 2 hours, Naomi worked in the small anteroom outside the board suite, moving names, correcting titles, catching duplicate donors, and quietly noticing what the seating chart was really doing. Housekeeping award nominees were placed near the kitchen exit. Executives were near the cameras. Julian Reed was listed under donor relations, not compliance advisory, and his table was close enough to the stage to see everything but far enough from Marcus to be dismissed as polite decoration. When Naomi asked for printer access, Denise stood over her shoulder. "Only print what relates to seating." Naomi nodded and printed 3 copies. The first was the seating chart. The second was a corrected staff cue sheet. The third, hidden beneath both, was the run-of-show page with the red line still visible. She folded it once and slipped it inside the back cover of the VIP binder. Not stolen. Distributed. A document handed to her for work. At noon, the first test turned public. A donor arrived early, angry that his wife's name had been misspelled on the place card. Denise looked straight at Naomi. "Reception prepared those." Naomi stepped forward before the man could raise his voice. "You are right to be upset, sir. Your wife's name is Dr. Althea Monroe, with an E before the A. I corrected it in the digital list at 10:42, but the printed cards came from the old file. I can replace it in 4 minutes." She did. She found the calligrapher in the service hall, brought the corrected card back in 3 minutes, and placed it with both hands in front of the donor. Marcus watched from across the room, smiling for everyone else. Denise's nails tapped once against her clipboard. Naomi had passed the test without giving them a mistake to use. But when she returned to the anteroom, her staff login had been restricted. A red banner flashed on the tablet. Access denied by administrator. On the desk beside it sat a new envelope with her name typed in capital letters. Inside was a non-disclosure agreement and a pen already uncapped. Naomi did not sign the non-disclosure agreement. She slid it back into the envelope, capped the pen, and placed both under the tablet like they were just another part of the gala setup. Then she went to work. The ballroom was filling with people who would never see the freight elevator, never smell the bleach on the service stairs, never know which workers had skipped dinner so the shrimp towers could look untouched. Naomi moved through them with the calm face she had learned at the front desk, fixing problems before powerful people knew they had caused them. A photographer had the wrong media badge. Naomi checked his license against the press list and caught that he worked for a vendor tied to Marcus's PR firm. A caterer was missing 2 diabetic meals. Naomi found the dietary notes buried in a deleted email thread and walked the plates herself to the right table. Dr. Althea Monroe stopped her near the orchids. "You are the one who corrected my name." Naomi nodded. "Yes, ma'am. People show you who they respect by what details they refuse to learn," Dr. Monroe said, then pressed a business card into Naomi's hand. "Keep records." The words landed heavier than the card. Near the side entrance, Julian Reed stood with a glass of water he had not touched. Naomi passed close enough to speak without turning her head. "Your badge says donor relations tonight. That is what Marcus wants the room to believe. And what do you want?" Julian looked toward the stage, where Marcus was practicing his smile under the lights. "A chain that holds." Naomi pulled the VIP binder against her chest. "Then stop asking me for trust and start giving me something I can verify." For a moment, Julian said nothing. Then he reached into his jacket and placed a folded receipt on a cocktail table as if abandoning trash. Naomi picked it up after he walked away. It was not a receipt. It was a printed access log, one line circled in blue: Marcus Vale, payroll records room, 12:18 a.m., last Thursday. Naomi's pulse hit once hard. She did not smile. She did not look for him. She folded the page into the binder beneath the run-of-show sheet. That was the first time Julian gave her proof instead of advice. The smallness of it mattered. Not a rescue. A step. At the employee check-in station, Evelyn Carter stood frozen with a pen in her hand. A supervisor had placed a wage correction form in front of her. "They said I can't work the gala unless I sign," Evelyn whispered. Naomi looked at the form. The hours were wrong. The date was wrong. Evelyn's name was misspelled. Naomi took a photo of the document beside the wall clock before anyone could move it. Then she handed Evelyn a blank incident form from the HR tray. "Right. I am being asked to sign under pressure. Use your own words." The supervisor snapped. "Reception doesn't give legal advice." Naomi looked at him. "I'm not. I'm giving her a pen." It was a tiny victory, but tiny victories were dangerous in rooms built on fear. Evelyn did not sign. 2 banquet servers saw it. Then a valet asked Naomi if his missing tips counted as wages. Then a kitchen runner slipped her a note with 3 names. The blue USB became heavier in Naomi's pocket. No longer just her mother's sparrow, no longer just a place to hide files. It was becoming a door other workers were pushing their stories through. By 6 o'clock, Naomi had scanned Evelyn's incident form, the access log, the forced correction notice, and 2 handwritten accounts from staff who had been told to wait until after gala for pay adjustments. She saved each file with dates, not accusations. Facts first. Feelings later. Across the ballroom, Marcus stopped, laughing. Denise leaned close to him, whispering behind her champagne clipboard. Marcus's eyes moved from Evelyn to the binder in Naomi's hands, then to the staff table where workers were no longer looking down. At 6:17, Naomi's phone buzzed. No caller ID. A text appeared. "Return company property now, or security will escort you out before the awards." Naomi looked up. 2 uniformed guards had entered through the service doors, and Denise was pointing straight at her. The guards did not touch Naomi. That was part of the performance. They walked toward her slowly, leaving enough space for people to turn, whisper, and decide she must have done something wrong before anyone said what it was. Denise reached her first, her face arranged into concern. "Naomi, sweetheart," she said, loud enough for the nearby staff table. "You have confidential company documents in your possession. Let's not make this worse." Naomi felt every eye land on the binder under her arm. A bartender she had helped that morning looked away. One of the banquet servers stepped back like trouble could spread by standing too close. Marcus crossed the ballroom with a reporter at his shoulder, wearing the wounded expression of a man forced to discipline someone he had tried to save. "This is painful," he said, resting one hand over his heart. "We believe in second chances here, but trust is the foundation of family." Family. The word moved through the room like perfume sprayed over smoke. Denise opened her clipboard and removed a printed page. At 5:58 p.m., your login accessed restricted payroll archives. Naomi looked at the timestamp. Her staff access had been cut before then. That was the first crack. She did not argue. Arguing would make her look frantic. Instead, she let her thumb slide along the binder's plastic edge and counted backward. At 5:58, she had been at the employee check-in station with Evelyn. The wall clock was in the photo. The forced correction form was in the photo. Her hands were visible. "May I see the device ID?" Naomi asked. Denise blinked once. "Excuse me?" The access log should show the device ID, terminal location, and IP address. Marcus's smile faded at the edges. "Naomi, this is not the time for technical games." "It's not a game," she said quietly. "It's the difference between an account and a person." A few people heard that. Julian heard it too, standing near table 6. But he did not move. His stillness hurt less this time because Naomi finally understood what he was doing. He was watching whether the lie could survive the facts. Denise handed the page to one guard instead of Naomi. "Security will handle that." Naomi looked at the guard's badge. "Officer Bell, did they ask you to collect my binder or my bag?" The guard hesitated. "Company property. This binder was assigned to me by HR for gala seating. My purse is personal. My phone is personal. My keychain is personal." Denise's voice sharpened. "The USB is company property if it contains company data." There it was. Not the binder. The sparrow. Naomi reached slowly into her pocket and closed her hand around the blue USB. The silver charm was warm from her palm. "Then write that down," she said. "That HR is requesting a personal storage device before showing device ID on the alleged access." Denise's face stayed pleasant, but her neck flushed. Marcus turned toward the nearby employees. "This is exactly what happens when someone mistakes proximity to information for authority." It sounded reasonable. It sounded like leadership. It sounded like a man protecting workers from a dishonest employee. Then he added the part meant to kill her. "We have also received concerns that Ms. Brooks has been pressuring staff to make false wage claims." Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth. The kitchen runner stared at the floor. Someone whispered, "False." Naomi felt the word hit harder than fired. Fired was one person. False claims made every worker afraid to stand near her. That was the war. Not against her job. Against her credibility. Naomi looked down at the printed accusation in Denise's hand and noticed the company letterhead was slightly crooked, like it had been scanned and rebuilt. She also noticed the footer. Prepared by DH, 6:03 p.m., 6 minutes after the alleged login. Too fast for an investigation. Fast enough for a setup. She did not say it aloud. She needed the paper. "If you are accusing me," Naomi said, "I'm requesting a copy for my records." Denise smiled again. "Terminated employees don't make requests." Marcus nodded to the guards. Officer Bell stepped closer. Around the room, phones were rising now, not for justice, but for spectacle. Naomi's stomach tightened as the binder was taken from her arms. The USB stayed hidden in her fist. Then Denise leaned in, soft enough only Naomi could hear. "After tonight, nobody will believe a receptionist over a CEO." At that exact moment, Marcus lifted the microphone from the podium and turned toward the ballroom. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with our awards, We need to address a serious breach of trust. Naomi looked at the giant screen behind him and saw her employee photo appear beside the words Internal Theft Investigation. The words on the screen were cleaner than the truth. Internal Theft Investigation appeared in white letters beside Naomi's company photo. The same photo taken 2 years earlier when she still believed hard work could make a place fair. For 1 second, nobody breathed. Then the room began to move without moving. Shoulders turning away, eyes dropping, phones lifting higher. Naomi felt the space around her empty out. Marcus did not shout. He did not need to. "We are heartbroken," he said into the microphone. "But we will always protect our employees, our guests, and the integrity of this organization." Protect. Naomi almost laughed, but her throat would not open. Officer Bell still held her binder. Denise stood near the stage stairs with her champagne clipboard tucked against her ribs like a shield. Evelyn tried to step forward, but her supervisor caught her wrist. Naomi saw it. So did Julian. He was standing at table 6, face still, eyes locked on that hand around Evelyn's wrist. For the first time, the calm consultant looked ashamed. Not because he had believed Marcus, but because he had waited for the lie to become visible enough to prove. And in that waiting, Naomi had been left alone under the lights. Marcus lowered the microphone and looked at her. "Naomi, you may leave with dignity." Dignity. The word landed like a slap. She walked down the stage steps by herself because she would not let security drag her for people's entertainment. The ballroom doors opened. Cold hallway air touched her face. Behind her, applause started again, thin and uncertain, as if the room wanted permission to pretend nothing had happened. In the service corridor, Naomi stopped beside a stack of folded linens. Her phone buzzed. Caleb. Then again. Then a text. "Naomi, what is going on? Somebody sent me a video." Her knees weakened, but she did not sit on the floor. She pressed one hand against the linen cart, breathed through her nose, and typed only, "I am safe. Do not reply to anyone." A tear dropped onto her screen before she could stop it. She wiped it with her sleeve. No witnesses. No performance. Just a woman deciding not to break where nobody could applaud her for surviving. Then she heard a small sound from the kitchen entrance. Mrs. Evelyn stood there, shaking, one hand wrapped around the other. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "They told me I'd lose my insurance if I spoke." Naomi looked at the older woman's shoes, the same split sole, polished for the gala but still coming apart at the side. "Did you sign?" Evelyn swallowed. No, from inside her uniform pocket. She pulled out a folded pink copy of the wage correction form. "You told me to ask for a copy." The supervisor got mad and threw this away. "I picked it up." Naomi took it carefully. At the bottom, beneath Evelyn's unsigned line, was a manager approval signature already completed. Approved before employee acknowledgement. That changed everything. The form was not a mistake. It was a machine. Naomi's mind went back to the red paper crescent she had found beneath the turned camera, the inventory tag from Denise's banker's box. Q4 overtime adjustments. If that box held pre-approved correction forms, the company had prepared the lie before employees even saw the paperwork. A door opened behind them. Julian stepped into the corridor, his bow tie loosened, his phone in his hand. "Naomi," he said quietly. She turned on him with the kind of stillness that made him stop walking. "Do not tell me you believe me now." His face tightened. "I believe the evidence is lining up." "That is not the same thing." "No," he said. "It isn't." For once, he did not defend himself. He looked at the pink form in her hand, then at Evelyn. "May I photograph that?" Naomi pulled it back. "Not until you tell me who you are to this company." The corridor hummed around them. Somewhere in the ballroom, Marcus was giving an award for loyalty. Julian reached into his jacket and removed a sealed badge holder he had never worn. "Eastbridge Review Group, Contract Oversight. My firm controls the renewal Marcus needs after tonight," he said. "I came to verify culture, compliance, and wage practices." Naomi's jaw tightened. "Then verify this." She unfolded the form, placed it on the linen cart, and set her phone beside it with the photo she had taken earlier. Evelyn, the wall clock, the same form before the signature appeared. Old clue, new meaning. The timestamp proved the signature was added after Evelyn refused. Julian's expression changed, not with pity, but with focus. We need the original access log. Naomi reached into her closed fist and opened her palm. The blue USB was still there, the silver sparrow marked with a thin line of her blood where it had cut into her skin. No, she said. We need the box. Evelyn looked toward the stairwell. Basement records room. Naomi wiped her palm on a napkin, wrapped the USB chain around her finger, and started walking. This time, she was not leaving the Gala. She was going underneath it. The basement records room sat behind two gray doors marked authorized personnel only, but the first lock was not locked. That told Naomi more than any confession could have. People who believed they owned the building often forgot other people knew how to move through it. Evelyn kept watch at the laundry corridor while Julian used his badge to open the second door. This is access controlled, he said. Good, Naomi answered. Then your entry will show up too. Inside, the air smelled like cardboard, dust, and warm copier toner. Rows of bankers' boxes lined metal shelves, each labeled by quarter. Naomi moved straight to the shelf with red inventory tags. Denise carried Q4, she said, pulling out the crescent of red paper from her phone case. She matched it to a torn corner on one box. Q4 overtime adjustments. Julian photographed the seal before they opened it. Inside were correction forms sorted by department. Housekeeping, banquets, valet, kitchen. Most had manager approvals already signed. Some had employee signatures that looked too neat, too identical, as if fear had been copied by machine. Naomi found Evelyn's original form with no signature. Beside it was the pink copy, now marked as refused. They made two versions, she said. One to scare her, one to file later. Julian's face had gone hard. That proves falsified wage records, but not the fake login. Naomi pulled the access page Denise had flashed from memory, then pointed to the records room computer in the corner. The device ID on their accusation should match a terminal. If they used my account after cutting my access, the terminal won't be mine. Julian logged in through the audit portal, not the company system. Naomi stood beside him, reading faster than he expected. Front desk access suspended. 4:11 p.m. payroll archive accessed. 5:58 p.m. terminal. HR 03. Location: Executive HR Suite. User override D Hall. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Naomi took a photo of the screen with the pink form and the clock above the door in frame. Now it's a chain. They returned upstairs through the service hall, while Marcus's voice rolled through the ballroom speakers. Our next award honors courage. Naomi almost smiled at the cruelty of timing. At the ballroom entrance, Officer Bell blocked them. Julian showed his Eastbridge badge. You can stop me, but your name will appear on the obstruction report. The guard stepped aside. Marcus was on stage, smiling beside Denise, when Naomi walked back in. The room changed before anyone understood why. Marcus saw the USB in her hand and recovered quickly. Naomi, this is not appropriate. She took the spare microphone from the AV table, the one she had tested earlier for donors. Neither is putting my photo beside the word theft before showing device ID. A murmur spread. Denise stepped forward. She is holding stolen files. Naomi looked at the screen technician. Pull up input. 2. He hesitated. Evelyn, still in the service doorway, lifted her voice. Let her show it. Then a valet stood. Let her show it. A banquet server followed. Let her show it. The technician switched the screen. Naomi did not start with speeches. She showed the timeline. Her access suspended at 4:11. The alleged breach at 5:58. The terminal listed as HR 03. Denise's override at 5:58. Denise's face emptied. Marcus laughed once. A system error. Naomi clicked again. The screen changed to the pink wage form beside the original. Then this is a system error too? Marcus said, "Those are internal payroll corrections. Approved before employees signed?" Naomi asked. "Moved to the basement after the camera was turned?" Denise snapped, "You have no right to interpret compliance documents." Julian stepped onto the stage, not in front of Naomi, but beside the screen.
Ido.
Eastbridge Review Group is freezing contract renewal pending wage theft investigation and forensic audit. Marcus turned on him. "You are a donor." Julian held up his badge. "That is what you told the room." The silence cracked. Naomi played the final clip, the hallway camera from the kitchen entrance, Marcus's voice clear as he told a supervisor, "Get signatures before the tribute video. After tonight, they'll be grateful for whatever we give them." On the screen, his hand pointed toward the same stage where Naomi now stood. Marcus opened his mouth, but no sentence came out whole. The first chair scraped back from the staff table. Then another. Then 20. Evelyn stood with tears on her face, not hiding them this time. Across the ballroom, workers rose row by row, leaving napkins on plates, badges on tables, and Marcus veil under the lights he had chosen for someone else's humiliation. The walkout did not sound like chaos. It sounded like chairs scraping, silverware settling, and hundreds of people deciding at the same time that fear had asked too much of them. Marcus stayed on stage with the microphone hanging at his side, but the room no longer belonged to him. By morning, the board had suspended him, Denise Hall had been placed on administrative leave, and Eastbridge's forensic audit had turned the word mistake into something no lawyer could safely say aloud. The investigation found delayed overtime, altered correction forms, and payroll records approved before workers ever saw them. Marcus resigned before the state labor hearing, but resignation did not erase the fines, the civil claims, or the criminal referral attached to falsified wage documents. Denise testified to keep herself from carrying all of it alone. Her soft voice broke when she admitted she had built the paper trail Marcus needed because promotions came easier when she made ugly things look procedural. Naomi watched from the back row of the hearing room in a plain black blazer, her hands folded, the blue USB no longer hidden. Evelyn sat beside her, wearing new work shoes paid for with her first corrected check. When Marcus's attorney offered Naomi a private settlement with a confidentiality clause, she read the first page, closed the folder, and slid it back. "No," she said, "pay the workers first." Months later, Harrington Civic Hotels reopened the ballroom under new leadership. Not for another awards gala. For a wage recovery meeting with translators, labor attorneys, payroll auditors, and every employee who had once been told to wait until after the gala. Naomi did not return to the front desk. She accepted a role she helped design, not one handed to her as a trophy. Director of the Worker Dignity Desk, an independent office with locked complaint boxes, paid time for wage disputes, and outside audits no executive could cancel. Julian came to her office on the first Friday it opened. He did not bring flowers. He brought the corrected Eastbridge policy requiring worker interviews before any future renewal. "You were right," he said. "Trust is not a speech." Naomi looked at the paper, then at him. "An apology is not repair." He nodded. "I know." There was no kiss, no sudden music, no easy forgiveness. Only a chair across from her desk, and a man willing to sit there without being forgiven quickly. Evelyn became the first volunteer advocate. Caleb fixed the broken shelf in the office after his welding classes and pretended not to smile when Naomi paid him from the program. Budget. On the wall near the entrance, employees posted copies of recovered checks, not to brag, but to remind each other that stolen hours had names. The last thing Naomi placed in the room was a small glass case beside the intake window. Inside it hung the blue USB keychain, the silver sparrow polished clean, its wing still marked by one tiny dark scratch. New workers often asked what it meant. Naomi would look at the front doors, where people came in nervous and left standing taller, and she would say, "It means little things survive when someone protects them." Then she would open a fresh folder, offer a pen, and wait for the next voice that had been told it was too small to matter.